Okay, let's just get right to it. It's the question on every association leader's mind right now. Which AI tool is the right one for us?
And look, the honest answer is, well, it depends. But that's not a very helpful answer, is it? And really, it's not even the right question to be asking first. There's a much more critical question that, frankly, most associations are just skipping over completely.
See, jumping straight to picking a tool, that's like starting the race at the finish line. Before you even think about brand names, you've got to understand your own organization's readiness. And even more importantly, its risk.
The real problem here isn't about which fancy car you buy. It's about the road you're driving it on, your foundation. Because look, any AI tool is only as trustworthy as the data and the governance you have behind it. And when that foundation is shaky, well, there's a name for what happens next.
We call it HIHO. It stands for hallucinations in, hallucinations out. And the principle is dead simple. If you put flawed, messy, or unsecured member data into an AI, you are absolutely going to get an answer back that sounds super confident, totally polished, and is completely, utterly fabricated. And here's the kicker, right? That fabricated nonsense doesn't just sit on some staff member's desktop. No way. It finds its way into reports, into presentations, and yep, straight to your board. Suddenly, the stakes are incredibly high. And if you're thinking, oh, that won't happen to us, think again. This isn't some rare thing. A 2024 Deloitte survey just this year found that nearly half, we're talking 47%, of enterprise AI users have made a major decision based on hallucinated content. I mean, just let that sink in. It's basically a coin flip whether you're making a strategic move based on pure fiction.
Okay, so with that pretty scary HIHO risk front and center, now let's get to the tools you came here to see. But we're not just going to list features. We're going to frame this whole comparison around the actual tasks you and your team are doing every single day.
Right, so you can see here it's not about which one is best, but best for what. If you're drafting member comms, ChatGPT is your go-to. But if you're staring down a 90-page vendor contract, you're going to want Claude. Let's dig into each one real quick. So first up, the one everybody knows, ChatGPT. Think of it as your creative workhorse. It's awesome for churning out member communications, brainstorming new program ideas, repurposing that conference content. But, and this is a big but, it learns from what you feed it. That means you have to be super careful about any sensitive member data getting into its system. And that's exactly why we give it a moderate HIHO risk.
All right, next up is Claude. Its superpower? Taming massive, complex documents. I'm talking about feeding it your bylaws, a 100-page RFP, that ridiculously dense vendor contract. That's where it just shines. And this is the perfect example of its value. When you give it these specific, grounded tasks, it actually has the lowest hallucination risk of the whole bunch. Now, what if your team lives and breathes in Google Workspace? Then Gemini is a no-brainer. It's baked right into Gmail, Drive, Docs, all of it. That means you get to eliminate that constant soul-crushing copy-paste routine. And when it comes to just summarizing stuff you already have in your Google ecosystem, its performance is absolutely best in class.
Okay, let's talk about Grok. It has one huge unique advantage, real-time access to X, what used to be Twitter. This is a game changer for advocacy and tracking policy as it happens. But here's the deal. The trade-off is massive. It comes with the highest HIHO risk of all 5 of these tools. The signal-to-noise ratio is just a huge risk if you're trying to create any kind of board-level analysis. And last but not least, Perplexity. Here's the scenario. You're building that big report for your board, and you know you need to be able to back up every single claim. This is your tool. Why? Because by its very design, it gives you the sources with every answer. Now, that transparency doesn't completely kill the risk of hallucinations, but it sure makes them a heck of a lot easier for your team to spot and correct. So, there you have it. We've compared the tools. But here's the catch. You could ask any of these AIs to generate a chart just like the one we showed you. What none of them can do, what no tool can do, is fill a really critical gap that exists inside your organization. Think about it. An AI can compare features. It can summarize benchmarks. It can spit out a comparison matrix all day long. But what it can't do, it can't assess the safety of your specific member data. It can't analyze your governance maturity. And it definitely can't gauge your staff's real capacity. Those answers, they only live inside your organization, not inside some software. So you see, the real starting point isn't choosing a tool. It's assessing your own readiness. It's all about understanding that foundation we talked about before you try to build anything on top of it. And here's how you can do that right now.
We've got 3 totally free assessments to help you figure out your starting point. If you're worried about your data, take the HIHO risk assessment. If you need to make the business case to your board, use the AI ROI calculator. And if you're just not sure where to even begin with all this, start with the Core Framework AI Readiness Assessment.
You can find all 3 of them over at smartthoughts.net. They are completely free, and the advice you'll get is based on hundreds of real-world projects, with one simple promise we make to everyone: no vendor commissions, ever.